Now it is recording. I thought it is directly streaming on YouTube. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay, okay then.
Okay, continue the class.
Yeah, okay. So this is Momodica, and nextly, the varieties and all you can read from any of the books that you get. So even the Glostus one will be enough for you for reading the varieties in general, just to hear the names again. And especially, I have told you, you have to remember based on which is a selection, which is a hybridization, how many parents are involved. So those kind of things, which is a pedigree method, which is a mass selection method. So very frequently, in case of net, in terms of net, they will ask this is a selection released variety, introduction variety. So in terms of that, you have to remember properly. And in case of selection, we have the Arka Jeet and Arka Rajhans. And nextly, Durgapur Madhu, Hara Madhu. So and Pusa Madhuras. So what is the speciality of Pusa Madhuras here?
High TSS, ma'am.
Only high TSS? Only high TSS? The speciality of this book is in Gloucester only. You just check and tell me. Okay, and coming to the hybrids, Pusa Sharbati and Punjab Sunahri, Punjab Rasila, Hisar Madhur, Pusa Rajhans. So yesterday or day before, when we were talking about monoecious lines, we generally don't use monoecious lines because there is a character of misshapen fruits or unacceptable quality if you use monoecious lines. But still, we have two lines developed with the use of monoecious lines. That's why it is very, very, very important that you remember those two. That is Pusa Rajhans and the other variety. I just forgot. Yeah, that day I was telling you. So those two you have to remember very well. And polyploidy resistance breeding also. Resistance breeding, we have seen the table itself. But in general, this Cucumis mellow variety calosis is against fruit fly. And nextly, resistant to Fusarium oxysporum. And that is Durgapur Madhu, Punjab Sunari and Harela. Whereas Cantaloupe, PMR 5, 6 and FM5. So these and other private not private but the other exotic lines are resistant to powdery mildew. Okay, and nextly coming to the cultivation practices, these and cultural practices already have given this ppt to you also. So instead of just wasting the time in the cultural practices with this much degrees and all, so there is no much specific thing that you have to remember. This is the normal thing only. So I hope you all know what is riverbed cultivation. So Srishti, you can tell me what is riverbed cultivation?
It is a diara cultivation, ma'am. I mean, all mostly cucurbits are cultivated along the river sides of, along the Gangetic plains, ma'am. It is cultivated, ma'am.
Not only Gangetic plains, wherever it is there on the side of a bank of a river. So it is called a riverbed cultivation. Okay, why only cucurbits? Why not any other crops? Why not brinjal? Why not tomato? Why not any other cabbage, cauliflower? Why only cucurbits in riverbed cultivation?
Ma'am, cucurbits have taproot system and it is generally cultivated in summer. If we cultivate it in the riverbed, then requirement of water is very is low. They take the water from the river water table from the river banks, ma'am.
Yes, exactly. So just 2-3 classes previously, I have told the same point. That is the reason, you haven't attended the classes. If you haven't attended the classes, at least you should have gone through the previous classes, recorded classes. Okay. So, okay, no, not an issue. So generally, cucurbits have a very deep root system. So they will thrive for water by their deep root system. So if you just to grow beside the riverbed, beside on the banks of the river, so automatically underground water table will be there, so the roots will thrive for the water, and obviously they can be easily grown there. Okay, and nextly, yes, and that daira cultivation is not a commercial cultivation. Daira cultivation is under, those people who don't have land. Actually, there is a paper also. So, for creating livelihood, daira cultivation, in case of economics and all that, those kind of students will read. Daira cultivation is useful for providing economy for landless people like that. Some papers you will easily find for that. Okay, and nextly. And these and all recommendations will continue. And here you can see the pruning and training. So I have already told you from 9th to 12th node is a commercial number of like nodes where you will be getting the commercial yield. From there you will get the female flowers and all that too. By that time they will be going into the secondary shoot, the primary stem. From the primary stem you will get the secondary stem, and in the secondary stems you will be starting to have these fruits and all kind of things. Okay, and in that also, see, you can see that Punjab Sahaneri starts from the 3rd node itself. Punjab hybrid and Pusa Madhuras come from 4th node itself, and whereas this Pusa Sharbati is getting from the 6th node itself. So these pruning and training practices means removal of all the secondary growth up to the 7th. Why are you removing all these things? Why? Because you want you don't want those male flowers that will be coming up to the 9th node. So you cannot wait unnecessarily up to the 9th node. So whatever whatever growth you are getting up to that node, you have to completely remove it. And this will also help for the physiological balance. So the term physiological balance we have used in the first class of muskmelon itself. Okay. And intercultural operations, irrigation, harvesting and all. In harvesting, what is the important harvest index?
And sleep stage.
Netting.
Netting, okay. It's still 2 members are only there. Okay, netting, okay.
Sleep stage, ma'am.
Slip stage is most important thing. Also full slip stage and half slip stage. So for local markets, full slip stage means if you touch the fruit, it should come into your hand. Okay, that's the full slip stage. And half slip stage is like, it is like almost ready. So slip, why does it slip? Because of the formation of abscission layer. Okay, netting, prominent netting that you can observe, which will become a powdery, netting. That is also correct, one of the points, but the prime point is the slip stage. Okay. Okay, and what is another important bit in terms of question in terms of exam is some varieties like Hara Madhu, there is no development of slip. There is no slip stage at all for Hara Madhu. Okay, so this is also an important point that you have to remember, that there is no slip stage for Hara Madhu. And rest all is handling, sorting and all pest and diseases. Same scientific names, you will get an idea. So cucumber beetle, these same pests you can cover anywhere, so not so important. I'll go to the next crop, that is the, how do I open this? Next crop, that is the pointed gourd. Okay. So in terms of pointed gourd and little gourd, these two gourds, which those in the picture are looking very similar. So if you are North Indians, you must be very much aware of this pointed gourd, right? And especially if you are from West Bengal, Odisha, upper North Odisha and West Bengal region, because it's the primary center of origin. Pointed gourd, we will start first. Okay. So a pointed gourd is called as the king of gourds. So what is the important bit here? So what is the king of gourds? Pointed gourd is the king of gourds, and the scientific name is Trichoxanthus dioica, and the chromosome number being 22. And what is another key important point in case of pointed gourd? The pointed gourd has a heterogametic. It is, males are heterogametic. So what is heterogametic? In humans, males are heterogametic. Anything you are getting now?
Sex chromosome is 2 X and Y is present, ma'am. I mean, different,
Yes.
hetero,
Yes,
different is present.
exactly. Very good, very good. Exactly. So in generally, what is, in terms of humans, what is the sex chromosome for female? We have XX, whereas male has X and Y. So X and Y, because male has X and Y, it determines if the child birth is going to be a female child or a male child. Similarly, in case of pointed gourd, also you have this male heterogametic nature. That is 20 plus X and Y. Total 22 is the chromosome number. Okay, so 20 plus X and Y, which is overall 20 sets of chromosomes along with this X and Y. Totally it is 22 is the number. So male heterogametic nature is observed in case of pointed gourd. Okay, and which is also called as purval. Okay, it has a very beautiful hard shell. So it is a dioecious plant in nature. So what is dioecious?
Where male and female flower born in the two separate plant.
Yes, male and female plants are separate. They are called as dioecious plants, and this is also called as green potato. And it is very excellent taste with it has an excellent taste. So it is a perennial crop. So generally, what are cucurbits?
Generally annual.
Generally they are annuals. That is, you will put the seed, you will grow it for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, as maximum of 6 months. After that you will remove the crop, and then you will have again resow the seed. But what is what is annual crops? Generally they are propagated any annual. It is an annual, then it is definitely a seed propagated crop only. Okay, 99.999%, if it is an annual crop, that is a seed propagated crop. So now we are saying that it is a perennial. What is pointed gourd? It is a perennial. So how is the propagation for this?
Cutting.
Yes, it is. It is the clonal propagation. Clone means the what is a clone? Clone means similar to the parents. It is completely similar to the parent. That individual is called as a clone. Okay, so this is a clonal propagations. Cuttings are clonal propagation, means completely similar with the parent. And what is the genotype of a clone? It is, see, what is an F1? What is genotype of an F1 means? What you will tell? It is heterozygous and homogeneous. So what is a clone?
Heterozygous and homogeneous.
Yes, clone is heterozygous, highly heterozygous and homogeneous. Very good, very good. So these only two people are there still. Morning only I told that class is at 4 o'clock. No, yesterday only I told.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I have messaged them, but not seen.
Okay, no problem. It is their karma. Nobody can help them. So, okay. So, it is a dioecious crop. Very good. And it is a perennial crop. And so it is perennial. It will be, can be propagated with the help of cuttings. Cuttings means clonal propagation. And what does clone means? Clone means it is an exact replica or is exact copy of the parents, and it is highly heterozygous in nature. Why it is highly heterozygous in nature? Is there any reason? Because since ages together, it is propagated by the means of cuttings and all. So it has never gone through selfing, that it is having, it does not have, it has never undergone selfing, no, because of which it does not, there is no chance for it that its alleles have become homozygous in condition, or so it is highly heterozygous only. Okay, and it is called green potato over now, and it is very widely, it is the choicest. And really, I don't know if you people have had pointed gourd or not, but if you had pointed gourd, it is the tastiest cucurbit. It is I don't know, but it is a tastiest cucurbit, and it is an definitely it's indigenous cucurbit for India, because it is its origin is India, and in specific West Bengal is the origin of pointed gourd. Uses, number of uses, these and all are, you can read by yourself. It is not important. And nextly, you can see the different preparations. Even sweets are prepared with the help of pointed gourd, and so this is all. This is just a sweet. Yeah. Coming to the origin and distribution, I have already mentioned that India is the primary center of origin, with West Bengal being the main place of origin, and a little parts of Assam is also involved, and other things are not so important. And here you can see that. And so there is one important question: which dash is the cucurbit that is mostly cultivated under Diara cultivation? This
Yes,
is an
ma'am.
important.
Pointed gourd.
No, just because I'm teaching pointed gourd, answer is not pointed gourd. Now I remembered the question, so I asked. Dash cucurbit is highly cultivated under Diara system. That's why I tell you, do number of questions every day. Number of objective questions you have to do. I have put 2 objective books, vegetable objective books PDF in the group. You can do those with answers. Everything answers is there in that. You have to discuss questions. You have to create questions by yourself that you can remember the content properly. It is muskmelon. Okay. And nextly. So the most common points that we have been discussing since along, that it is perennial, it is dioecious, and vines are generally pencil thick vines. They own not even for propagation purpose also, pencil thick vines are used. Some of the main stems will be definitely thicker than the pencil size though, but for propagation, when they'll ask you to write an exam, write the propagation of pointed gourd, pencil size thick, 2 centimeters diameter is the optimal optimum diameter of the cutting that you have to take for the propagation purpose. Okay. And leaves and all are cordate leaves. You might have you might have seen the plant. I don't know if you have seen or not. And nextly
ma'am.
coming to the, you have seen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what is the color of the flower?
Ma'am, white, ma'am.
So what are the white flowering cucurbits?
Bottle gourd, pointed gourd, snake gourd, and one more.
Mm. The same thing you have done that day also.
Yes,
See,
ma'am.
why I'm repeating the things? Because you again, so many times by repeatedly saying, one of my entomology teacher was there. He used to repeatedly tell the scientific names every day. We were like, how many times he will tell the names? But what happened at the end of the year, at the end of our BSc program, we got so much habituated of the scientific names that we started calling our friends itself with scientific names. That so like what happens number of times if you repeat the things with no effort, you will remember them. That is the reason why I'm asking the same questions again and again, and you are committing the same mistake again and again. Srishti, you remember what are the four? That's why I told you, don't remember in general. Remember that four cucurbits have white flowers. Can you tell me what are the other one he has missed?
No, ma'am, I can't remember.
Snake guard, pointed guard, bottle guard, little guard, or ivy guard, or coccinia. Okay. Okay. Next is you can see the fruits. They are oblong or globose shaped. Okay. Next, this is the flower. Okay. This is the flower, and the leaves. You see, this is heart shaped leaf. So beautifully cordate leaves. Generally, other cucurbits have the spinnate leaves. We're having lobes, but see this heart. This is a cordate leaf. Beautiful heart shaped leaf. And here we have a different based on the shape size. There are 4 different categories of pointed gourd that I've given. That is long. This is long, dark green with white stripes is one classification. And the other one here, they are thick, dark green with very pale. See, this does not look like a white streak. It looks like as if it is almost a green, light green streak. This is most commonly available for us in the market. Okay. And nextly, this is a roundish dark green with white stripes. You can see these are very round, chota ones. And here you can see tapering green striped. This is also mostly found in the market. That is dark green. This one is dark green. This one is light green. These two are mostly found in the market. Okay. And you can see here some of the white colored pointed gourds are also available. And coming to the nutritional composition, so why is it called as the king of gourds? Because it is highly nutritious. It is the most nutritious cucurbit among all the cucurbits. It is rich in magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, right source of vitamin A. It is a very rich source of protein that is almost 10 times that of bottle gourd and 4 times that of snake gourd, ridge gourd, and ash gourd. It is very low in fat and cholesterol. Obviously, all the cucurbits are very rich in high water content and very low in terms of the cholesterol and fat content. So this is the thing that it is a very nutritious cucurbit among all. So highly nutritious cucurbit is pointed gourd. Least nutritious cucurbit is ivy gourd or small gourd or coccinia. Okay. Here is the nutritional composition. Definitely nobody is going to ask you in terms of the values. In general, you can just see if you want, or it's just for reference purpose. And even the leaves constitute good amount of nutrition. You can see that the fresh leaves contain this amount of calcium, fiber, protein, and all. So here also again it's the nutritive content in comparison with the other gourds, that is snake, ivy, bitter, and bottle gourds. And the same thing here. So coming to the seed extracts means the seed, if you extract from the seed, now then you in the seed you will get the hemagglutination activity has been observed. And Trichothanthus dioica seeds contain large amount of peptines and lectin, which is a carbohydrate binding protein. Okay, it's a rich source of peptides and lectin, and in the seeds also you find this hemagglutinin. And nextly, coming to the health benefits, no, this is every you can read by yourself, not so important. For the thirst and purifies blood. It's good for heart and other things, or you can read by yourself. Okay, bloating, ENT disorders. This is an important point. You can see in many other books also, like in your short notebooks like Gloucester's and Essence and all. That is enlargement of liver and spleen. This tonic of the leaves is used for when you get a problem of enlargement of liver and spleen. And nextly, it is used for diabetes mellitus. Okay, pointed gourd. Which of the gourds is used for diabetes? Because in general, you won't have an idea that diabetes can be cured by a gourd, because it is pumpkin. It is muskmelon, it is a cucumber. I generally, anybody will get water content in mind. So for this particular pointed gourd, you have this diabetes mellitus curing abilities. And nextly, the leaf juice. This is an important point. You might have seen many places, like juice leaves contain juice leaf tonic can be used for the enlargement of spleen and liver content. Okay, and nextly, in case of Charaka Samhita also, which is oldest known grantha in terms of the health related things. So there also it has been used for treating alcoholism. And nextly, this is anti-helminthic. That is, it is used for a nematocide. Okay, it is like if anti-helminthic means it is used as a nematocide. The extract of the leaves. Okay, the extract of the leaves is used as a nematicide, and it is a very rich source of antioxidant. That is, antioxidants are rich in that is polyphenols. That is, free radical scavenging activity is called as antioxidant activity. So what happens when you eat something, or when we are exposed to the pollution and all? So what happen, in order to fight with them, our body releases some of the our body also starts fighting with them. In that process, some of the free radicals are released. The accumulation of the free radicals in high content in our body leads to the production of cancers or tumors, or even in small effects like your face suddenly starts looking dull and all. So these kind of things are also these are because of the free radical activity only. That's why we should have a high antioxidant property rich foods, even the green tea, watermelon, muskmelon, and even now we are reading pointed gourd, so you should have pointed gourd as well. Okay, and nextly, it has many antifungal and antibacterial properties, so that this can be used as a direct spray against the different pests also. And it is used for the leaf extract is also used for curing the tuberculosis, because it was said that it is rich in water content and all, and it is used for treating the tuberculosis. Coming to the varieties, so very little number of varieties are there that you can easily remember. Swarna Alaukik, or the inside content is not so specific that you have to remember, so I will not read that out. Okay, so Swarna Alaukik, Swarna Rekha, and so here you can see which is vigorously it is a more vigorously growing than Swarna Alaukik, Swarna Rekha. Okay, and nextly, Rajendra Parval 1, Rajendra Parval 2. So Swarna, this is your work again. Swarna is released from which place, and Rajendra means this prefix comes for which place. Okay, I want, so here it is given already, so this is over. Swarna, you tell me. Okay, Rajendra Agriculture University, Bihar. So this is, at least for the Swarna, where does it come, that prefix I want. Okay,
It is from some northeastern state university.
I want the exact, you tell me the exact institute.
I don't know. I mean, something research complex for northeastern region.
Yeah. Very
I
good.
don't know university name.
Very good, very good, very good. Almost done. Very good. So you can you put this answer, you write the 10 bits now, in that you put this bit also. Swarna is from. Okay, very good. You're almost you are correct. Okay, and next, Faziabad, this is also given here, or else you write these also. Faziabad from where, Rajendra from where, Swarna from where, all this today's bits you write. Okay, so this is from Narendra Dev University of Agriculture, Faizabad. And next is chess. So for the first Perval variety developed in case of in our country country is Chess Hybrid 1. So first Parval variety developed in our country is Chess Hybrid 1, and which is resistant to the fruit fly. Okay, it is resistant to fruit fly. Next is, here you can see this is for sodic soils, because generally it would have been for sodic soils only, because it is from Uttar Pradesh released variety. So depending on their soil conditions, it must be outperforming. And nextly, this Chota Hilly and this Dandli. Okay, Chota Hilly and Dandli, you might have most commonly seen these two names in terms of your Gloucesters and other books. And Chess Hybrid 2 we have, and Hilly and Shankolia. Why the name has come as Shankolia? Because the fruit resembles the shape of a shank. Okay, that's why it is called as Shankolia. Okay, and nextly we have some this IIVR PG105 is a seedless pointed gourd, IIVR PG105. And nextly we have the CHPG15, which is tolerant to powdery mildew and fusarium wilt. And we have many local varieties that are in West Bengal. See, Damodar is important, you have to remember. Bombay you have to remember, and Dandli you have to remember. Others in thing is Sankotwa you have to remember. So among the local varieties, Dandli and Sankotwa have the heavy fruiting and long vines. Okay, these two local varieties, Dandli and Sankotwa, have heavy yielding and long vine property. Whereas these other local ones, you need not remember, not so important. But this Damodar, Bombay, some names which, that's why only Damodar is important, because you might have number of, if you do number of objective questions, you will get to know that this kind of question has been asked many number of times. By based on that only we say this is important, this is not important, and not because we have set any question paper. So nextly, coming to the cultivation practices, so Trichoxanthus. So what is the largest genus? So not only when we are covering a crop, it is not about covering a particular crop, it is making number of questions out of that particular crop. Okay, so now we have, in general, we have seen that most of the cucurbits are annuals, but some of them are perennials, and among them we're going to see one by one. But this is a perennial crop. What is the color of the flower? And now what is another point that you, general point that you're learning, that is Trichoxanthus is the largest genus of the family Cucurbitaceae. Okay, and whereas this is the king of the gourds, and this is highly nutritious cucurbit. And what is the most commercial river bed cultivation, which is the most ideal vegetable? So these kind of things, you have to make number of questions by yourself and try to remember the concept successfully for your exam purpose. Okay, and riverbed cultivation is mostly done in the Gangetic Plains, but it doesn't mean that it is done only there. Okay, anybody can do anywhere. Okay, and nextly, here you can see the they won't have their own lands, no, then they, in those kind of terms, they will go for the riverbed cultivation. So advantages of Diara cultivation is like, it is a low cost, because you don't have any you did not go for any inputs, land is not yours. No, so much of fertilization is not required. Nextly, irrigation also you need not give, and that's the reason that is low cost and high return policy is observed in case of the Diara. And why fertilizer is not required? Can anybody tell me why I am telling fertilizer is not required?
Ma'am, and that riverbed soils mostly will be in alluvial soil, ma'am. So mostly
No, I am
deposition of
not. See, it's
minerals
not about the
will
soil
be
type.
there. I don't know if I'm not.
It's not about the soil type. What is
Okay.
a river? River is always a running body, no? So what happens? Frequent shift, a frequent drift will be there in those soils. Frequently there will be a drift in the soils. That's why always every time a fresh fresh layer will be coming and depositing. That is why what happens, because of this fresh soil every time depositing, nutrient depletion and all will not be there. If the same soil on the same patch you are growing again and again, there is a nutrient depletion. But whereas in case of this riverbeds and all, what happens, these are running bodies, and there is a continuous drift of the soil below the surface, and because of which you will be having a less need for giving fertilizers. Okay, and anyhow you need not give water. So most of the things are now saved for you. Okay, not important. This is general Diara cultivation. And what you are observing, this is not, this is you tell me. Here you can see the flower is having fringes. So which flower is this? This is a male
Pointed
flower.
cut. अच्छा, male.
This is a male flower. See, this is pointed gourd flower only, because I'm telling pointed gourd crop means it is pointed gourd flower only. Okay. This is mostly males will have this kind of, because male and female plants are different. No, completely different bodies will be there. But it doesn't mean only female plants. If you sow, will you get flowers and fruit without any pollination? So there is a need that you put up optimum percentage of male plants also. So what is the optimum percentage of male plants that you have to grow? You know?
10%.
Optimum is only 2%.
I
In
mean,
they will be
essence
given.
it is 10%.
Yes, ma'am.
I referred essence, ma'am. In essence, it was 10%, ma'am.
Yeah. Essence is just 10%, but actually the optimum, if you just to grow 2% of the males, that is enough. Even these days, there is like for every 12 plants, if you grow one male plant also, it is enough. Generally 10% males, not only in case of pointed gourd, but in case of ivy gourd also, they will recommend 10%. But these days, you can even grow with 2% of male flowers. So in case if you have options like 10, 20, 30, 40, then you go for 10%. But you should also be aware that these days only with 2% of males also you can go for cultivation. In case there are some values are given less than 5 or less than 10, then what is the answer? Then your answer should be 2%. 2% of the males. Okay. And nextly, so this is a completely male flower. Only male flowers will be like this, this fringy thing. But in leaving this male flowers of pointed gourd, what is the other cucurbit having this fringy flowers? You can see those fringes, no? This some hairy kind of thing. So what is the other cucurbit that will have this kind of fringy flowers?
Snake gourd.
Yes, snake gourd flowers will be fringy. Okay. So climate and soil and all kind of thing, it is not needed. I feel you can read by yourself, not so important. Coming to the propagation, this is very important thing. The propagation. See, here they have given 9:1. Now latest studies also say that you can go with 4:1, means 4:1. You can go even 12:1. You can go. Arey ma'am, itne sare options doge ke, to then what should I go in the exam? So it is mostly what you will go is the latest published one. That is, I am telling you about the 2002 published one. That is 1:4, or 1:4 is the 1:4 is like reverse. I'm telling 4:1 also you can take. So highest number of yield has been observed when one male and 4 females have been used, and you can grow one male with up to 12 females. Is the 2002 study that I am telling you. This is according to 1985. This is 9:1 has been given. So different authors would propose different ratios. You need not be worried at all. Definitely, different authors, depending upon the different climatic conditions where they might have worked, also is important, that determines this particular ratio. So according to the 2002 study, it is 1:4, and it can go up to 1:12. Okay. So up to 1:12 means 1:9 is also a part of this 1:2, within 1:12. No. So don't worry about that. Okay. And then nextly, coming to the propagation, it is vine cuttings or root suckers. Even root suckers can be used, not only in case of pointed gourd, but also in case of little gourd or the ivy gourd. You can use for the root suckers also. What is root suckers? It is nothing but the creeping root suckers. Means you can just cut the root part where their suckers will be developed. No, you can even use that. And seed propagation is avoided. Why does seed propagation has been avoided? What is the main reason? Is because of a poor germination and inability to determine the sex. Actually, instead of poor germination, this can be the major reason, that is inability of determination of the sex. That is because you don't know a seed, if you sow, it can be a male plant or a female plant, and there is a chance that almost 50% of the plants might be males. Then in terms of you having that, having so much of confusion or unreliability, it is better we go for clonal propagation, where you know the characteristics that definitely plant will be only this kind. So you will, because you are propagating true same to same, that is you are going for clonal propagation. So what are the main problems for seed propagation in case of pointed gourd? That is poor germination and inability or to determine the sex. Okay, and up to the fresh vines have to be taken, and up to 8 to 10 nodes should be present per cutting that you are taking. And this is a general spacing and all. I have already told you in many number of classes that you need not be so worried to remember them. It is if it is solanaceous crops, that would definitely be in 60 into 40 range, and if it is a cucurbits, definitely it should be one, at least one side should be 1 meter into 1.5 or 2 meters. So it is a definite values you will be knowing. If it is a root crop, it should be definitely 10 into 15 centimeters or 10 into 30 centimeters range. So it depends on the crop, and you should be not value to value, but at least a rough image that this crop will have this particular range. Okay, and nextly you can see here how the cuttings have been prepared. They have put in the different poly bags just to initiate rooting, and for a better rooting you can just keep them in cold chambers or mist chambers where you will have more humidity or more, so that the desiccation, because now there is no root to the cuttings. No, what happens, it does not have any root that can take water from the soil and give the plant. So what you have to maintain, you have to maintain high humidity so that the leaves and the stem does not desiccate itself, because there is no root to take up water and minerals and give to the shoot system. That's why you have to maintain high humidity. Okay, you can keep in humid chambers or mist chambers. So these, what are those chambers means? They are certain polyhouse or net house like structures where small droplets of water are given with the help of the different the small outlets. Okay, and nextly here you can see small net like structure where here he has giving watering. Yeah, coming to the time of planting. Okay, so in generally we have told that it is a crop. Generally all the cucurbits are summer season vegetables, and but what is a pointed gourd? It is a perennial crop. That means you are not going every time to sow in the, you are not going to sow it every year. So you know that it is a perennial crop, means if you sow for now this year, if you sow at least for 3 to 4 years, you can easily take high commercial yield, means commercial output you can take at least for 4 years, so but you know that it is propagated with the help of cuttings, and if you are propagating with the help of cuttings, there is a need of high humidity to be maintained, because the plant does not have its own root system to take up water and nutrients. So that is why you will go for the planting in the month of rainy season. So that is mid of August it has been taken, and afterwards cool temperature, that if it is a Diara cultivation, you will be going up to mid of November. And it is very important, this mid-November Diara cultivation, October to November Diara cultivation is taken up. This is an important question. Diara cultivation is taken up in the months of October to November. Okay, and what is this bower system? You know the different when it comes to the ridge gourd, we can see the different systems of training. That is, here you see the bower system, what is Niffen system. So these systems which you also see, this Niffen system and all, in case of the temperate fruit crops, you can take your basic horticulture book, and there also you can refer the images, or you can just Google the images. So in bower system, almost 8,000 cuttings per, very 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 important. Yeah, how many cuttings per hectare, or are these days they are also asking how many cuttings per acre are used. Very important in terms of exam, how many cuttings are planted in terms of these cuttings. In case of cassava also, they will ask you how many cuttings are required, and how many nodes are required, how many nodes should be there, how many noded cuttings should be sown, and what is this type of cut that is given. These all kind of questions are we will be thinking very lightly. This, they'll not ask these kind of things, but this is very very important. In case of sweet potato also, the number of nodes and the number of cuttings that are used for the sowing purpose is very important. In case of sugarcane also, they will ask you how many nodes. In agri questions also, you will get not some 20 or like that. In that also, sugarcane, how many those sets, sugarcane also, how many nodes should be there, and if 2 nodes are there, how many cuttings are planted. If 3 nodes are there, how many cuttings are planted. These kind of questions also they will ask you, and this is very very important question. Okay, and nextly, Here you can see in case of Bower system, it is 8,000 cuttings, whereas it's in flat system, it is only 4,000 to 5,000 cuttings. Okay. And if it is a riverbed cultivation, even less, because their spacing is more, input is less. No, so input is less, even planting is material is also less. That is only 3,500 to 4,000 cuttings per hectare. Okay. And here this is just a flat peel pit preparation and planting of the cutting. And this is a male flower. And nextly, coming to the manures and fertilizers, this is not at all important for you. Definitely they will not ask in exam, so you can leave it. So but in exam, what kind of questions they will ask you in case of nutrition and all? They can ask you, they can mention a legume crop. They will mention a legume crop, but you have to know one legume crop does not fix nitrogen. Which is that legume crop? Okay, you find the answer and tell me this. Yes, correct. In exam, how they will give you the nutrition based questions? They will give you one question, namely they'll name one of the legume crops, and they will tell you which is the following nutrition requirement apt for the above crop. So you know that it is a legume crop, it's a nitrogen fixing crop, so you have to select such a option which has low nitrogen content. Okay, so I see if option is given here 90, 60, 40. So you will not go for, and some other option is giving 40, 60, 80. So then you have to go for 40, 60, 80, because anyhow it's a legume crop, not in this crop, I'm telling you as an example. So anyhow legume crop is there. So nitrogen should be less, come nitrogen wala crop ko, dosage ko hame select karna padta hai. Okay, it's in general exam point of view I'm telling, and in nutrition and all they will not ask. So in case of net exams they can ask you, and that too, that's the worst case. Such questions barely are asked. Okay. And coming to the crop rotation, so generally what is this? This is a this is a perennial crop. We know that it is a perennial crop. So what happens initially after you sow that, it cannot immediately give you yields. So until that you can grow for any other low growing crops below the crop. Okay, intercrops and all you can grow. And nextly I have told you that up to 3 to 4 years means within 1 year it will start giving you yield. From 9th month or 8th month the plant will start giving you yield after you plant it. You know what happens after that? You can take the yields up to 3 months or 3 months, 4 months or 5 months. Then what you have to do it, what is ratooning? Ratooning means completely removal of the aerial parts and giving it more nutrition, so that it will again give a new flush. Okay, so that is ratooning. Okay, ratooning is also practiced in case of leafy vegetables such as in case of, because why I'm mentioning leafy vegetables, you will be taking 2 or 3 cuttings also, you can take in leafy vegetables as well. We don't think that ratooning can be done in leafy vegetables. For 2 or 3 cuttings, ratooning can also be practiced in case of leafy vegetables like this rossel, and in case of amaranthus also you can follow this ratoon cropping. Okay, that's completely removing of the aerial parts and giving it more nutrition so that it will start its a new flush development. Okay, and nextly coming to the intercultural operations, very common, this mulching and and next exam point of view, what are the pre sowing herbicides, post sowing herbicides? So all this kind of differences you have to know, and you have to remember very well what are the common names, what are the other names. Even in Gloucester's Essence, in these books itself is enough if in JRF point of view. Okay, whatever is mentioned. So pruning and all. So when you will go, and nextly very very important, I told you that it is a summer vegetable. Definitely it though you will be sowing it in the months of rainy so that it can get a proper humidity and it can establish well, but what happens is a summer vegetable, so its flowering and fruiting will definitely be in the summer season. But what about the other part of the year? Other part of the year, then generally the crop will be in dormancy. So this dormancy, when it will occur from October to November, and generally it will occur in that period. You can just go for pruning. So unnecessarily why to grow, if you why to grow the plant, energy is waste, your inputs are waste, means you can go for pruning in the months of winters when the plant is already in dormancies. Okay, because anyhow you don't have any use with the plant, it is anyhow in the resting phase, so you can just prune them for 15 centimeters around. Okay, nextly is the weeding and all. So weeding and all, so shallow hoeing, weeding and all, general practices. So various training. So I already told you, if it is bower system, 8,000 cuttings per hectare are used, and if it is a flatbed system, 4,000 cuttings are used, and if it's a Diara system, 3,500 to 4,000 cuttings are used. Okay. So what has been reported is, for a bower system is a comparatively much ideal system of growing. Okay. Bower system, 14% higher yields have been achieved. So which of the following methods is ideal for cultivation of ridge gourd? Which of the following, for ridge gourd, it's a sniffin system. Which is the following is ideal for pointed gourd bower system? So it is very important. What is a more ideal form for cultivation of bottle gourd? It is also bower system. So very important is that you remember which system is for which crop. Okay. So here you can see this is the pandal or the bower system, and nextly, see the bower system, pandal or bower system, and this is the triangular system. See, they have been put it in triangular form, and then the crop is being grown. Okay. And see, this is the Niffin system. And coming to the harvest and yield, so we know that it is a summer crop, and definitely after the winter is over, the new flush, that is, it's a perennial crop. So you just imagine, as a tree species, what happens generally, all our tropical trees will be in dormancy in case of winters. And is anybody there or not? This also. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens in terms of the summer, season? What happens in the in the winter season, the plant will go into dormancy, and suddenly in the spring season, the new flush starts emerging, and in the summer season, you have the fruit. The same pattern as of a perennial tree is followed in case of this ivy gourd, in case of this pointed gourd as well, where after the fruiting starts from the February onwards, and it will be continuing up to monsoon, that is up to the rainy season. And after rainy season, the next season is like the winters. So there will be a halt, so they will go to dormancy in the winter season. Okay. And yield and all, it actually it is a perennial crop. So initial 1 year or 2 years, you'll get less yield, and afterwards you will start getting more yield. That is, the yield can increase up to 150 to 200 quintals per hectare. Okay. And next is here you can see the pointed gourd packaging and all, and storage and all. So not only see, in case of post harvest and all, the wax all you might have heard, so which is used to 12% to increase the shelf life. But generally, what is a very poor shelf life is observed in case of pointed gourd. Even within the second day or third day itself, the fruits will completely start shrinking. Even I feel it is better, cucumber and other cucurbits can be stayed long outside, but very low shelf life. Even ivy gourd, means small gourd, can last more. If you just, these are all the things, no, you need not read, your mother will be knowing. If you ask your mother, Amma, which one has more shelf life, pointed gourd or bottle gourd? Definitely. So because of practice also, you get to know. So whatever is happening, because you are in horticulture, you try to observe the things that are happening in your surroundings itself. So if you see pointed gourd, so definitely in the third day or the second day itself, it will start shrinking, it will start yellowing. Even if you go to the market to buy pointed gourd, you try to observe that generally pointed gourd is put in bucket of water. You don't see any other vegetable being put in bucket of water and selling you. They'll keep in tubs and buckets, in that water will be there, and that they will put pointed gourd. They will not sell like normal vegetables. They will not be bulked. Why? Like, see here, like here it has been heaped like this. No, it will not be heaped like generally. It will be put in one big tub or bucket of water, because of very poor shelf life. You know why I'm telling you this bucket story? Because you have to remember that among all the cucurbits, this has a very poor shelf life. Okay, that is only 3 to 4 days. So here you can see the mature and immature difference. So as it matures, the seed becomes very hard. When it is tender and immature, it is very good to consume, and it is very tasty vegetable. So coming to the growth regulators, very important in terms of all the cucurbits, whatever it is. So we know that silver nitrate is used to induce the maleness. But what is the disadvantage of silver nitrate? It is highly toxic. Okay, silver nitrate is highly toxic. We cannot use silver nitrate much, because it causes toxicity to the plant. And we know that NAA, because it is a naphthalene acetic acid, is a compound of toxin, so it should definitely induce the female flowers. As the female flowers increases, obviously the fruit set or the fruit yield has to increase. So what is the concentration? This is very important. This cannot be 500 or 600 or any number, but you definitely have to remember it in the range of 200s. Okay, this Na is always in the range of 200s or below 500 range. That kind of thing you have to definitely remove. And if it is Ga, it should never be, because 1000 to 1500 concentration will give you male flowers, but to have female flowers it should always be less than 30 or 40 ppm. So in Ga3 for almost 40 ppm will give you a high number of female flowers. So silver nitrate, very important in case of pointed gourd, especially to produce hermaphrodite. In case of pointed gourd, especially to produce hermaphrodite flowers, dash is the chemical that is used, that is growth regulator that is used, that is silver nitrate at the rate of 1000 ppm. Very, very important. And nextly, another important point is because we know that these pointed gourds are generally propagated with the help of cuttings. So these cuttings we have to induce roots. So induce roots, we can use this IBA at the rate of 100 mg per liter. So this is a very important point, application of IBA for induction of the rooting. Okay, that is an important point that you have to remember. And nextly, in vitro propagation, this is not so important for you in exam point of view and all, it's not so important. In vitro means, you know, in lab you are propagating, so you can take the meristem part or good quality shoot tips, nodal explants. Explant means any material that you are using for the as a source material in your tissue culture are called as explants. Okay, you can use cotyledons and all, so this is not important for you. And you can see here different growth regulator concentrations and how well you can do it. So Swarna alaukik has been used for this tissue culture activity. So cultural practices of small gourd. Coming to the cultivation of small gourd, what is the scientific name? That is Coccinia grandis or Cephalandra indica, or Coccinia indica, anything you can call it. So, and it is also called as the little gourd or small gourd or scarlet fruit gourd. Okay, scarlet fruit gourd, and the chromosome number is 2n equals to 24. So coming to just before I go to this little gourd, I want to brief you some points in case of our okay. Nothing, I have covered. Generally, the pollen grains of another disadvantage that of pointed gourd I wanted to tell you for the cross pollination. Why we don't go for pollination and other things is, generally if you do hand pollination, mostly it gets failed. And another thing is the pollen grain is very sticky that it cannot blow through a wind. That is why also you cannot see the cross pollination occurring. Okay, so that is that one point I wanted to tell you, that it has a very sticky kind of pollen grain which do not fly with the wind and all kind of things. Okay, now we will continue with the Coccinia grandis or the little gourd or the scarlet fruit gourd. If you're feeling bored, I can end this here. We can continue the
No,
next
ma'am.
class. No, I will complete the small gourd. Okay, Srishti, you, because if you have any work and
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Amma, it's not audible. Sorry. Can you type? It's not audible. Yeah, okay. So then I will complete this small gourd as well. So the scientific name we know, that is Coccinia grandis. Afterwards, I will ask questions to you both. Don't forget. So 2n equals to 24. So other names, generally other names is, you can see this is a riped one, and in this in specific in this Coccinia, you can see two types of Coccinias. Actually many those species are available. So one is we commercially eat, and the other Coccinia you may find on the roadsides. This you will be frequently finding in the roadsides. There are many local names also for this, which is not edible. Generally crows and all will come and eat. We will not prefer this, and this has nothing. Why we don't, Coccinia has the least nutritive value among the cucurbits, and we consume Coccinia only because it is edible, and we want a variant in our food, just to add a variation. We are to have one type of vegetable extra, we are eating it, but no specific nutritional importance has been, like specifically, chow chow is for calcium, king of gourds is pointed gourd because because it has calcium value. In watermelon, you have high water content, you have anthocyanin contents. In muskmelon, you have beta carotene. Pumpkin, you have beta carotenes. So like that, in every in every cucurbit you have one or the other important trait, but in case of this particular coccinia you don't have any, but still we consume it just for adding a variant. That is why there is a myth, bhendi khane se brain will work very nicely. And there is also a myth that because iodine content is more in case of bhendi, so it will have a proper maintenance of your thyroid gland and all, because of pituitary gland and all, which may help your brain development properly, because of which they used to think that eating bhendi will make you maths very good. But it is not like that, because bhendi had iodine content, and the iodine will help you for proper regulation of your hormones. So that is why proper brain development will be there, and then that is why they used to tell that if you eat bhendi you can do very well maths. But these days that is not there, because because India on one point of a day, what used to happen is like there used to we did not have proper iodine content in vitamin A, zinc and iodine are the most frequent deficiencies that we observe in India. So just to fulfill, now we don't have iodine content deficiency. Why? Because in studies they have observed that salt is one such product that every poor, every rich person will definitely consume in their food. Without salt we cannot cook. So after knowing that, what they did, iodized salt has been produced, and now at every home we have this. We don't have normal salt, every salt is iodized salt only, and by that form we are consuming iodine. So now believing such myths of bhendi khane se maths we can do better is it's just a myth. Similarly, they used to say that we should not have coccinia because eating coccinia will make you dumb. Eating coccinia will not make you dumb. It is a myth, because it has no specific nutrition. Very important nutrition aspects are not present in it. So they used to think that somebody, just because coccinia is daily available to you and you continuously eat coccinia, you will not get any vitamins, you will not get any minerals. So they've created a myth like if you eat more coccinia you will become dumb. So these are the kind of things that used to come. So this is just some stupid story. Okay, a coccinia, which is also called as ivy gourd or baby watermelon because it has this, this ripe fruit side like very red color. And if you eat raw coccinia, you will feel like it is just a cucumber. It is just the same taste of cucumber. Okay, it is also called as baby watermelon, little gourd or gentleman's toe, and it is also called as Cephaloandra indica or Coccinia indica. Okay, and nextly, so different species are there in that: Coccinia abyssinica, Coccinia edonensis, Coccinia palmata, Coccinia grandis. Among that, this Coccinia grandis, which we generally cultivate. Okay. And coming to the botany, so not much difference is there in case of botany of this Coccinia as well. It is a very fast going, is a perennial plant, and nextly it is, more dense growing. Comparative, you can see this Coccinia, like this Coccinia as a weed, especially on the roadsides. I don't know in your part you can see or not. Definitely you can see this Coccinia as a weed, and it will be completely smothering the place. It is very dense growing comparatively to the other cucurbits. It's very densely growing. Okay, and nextly, the upper surface of the leaf is hairless and the lower surface of the leaf is hairy. Okay, and nextly there are 3 to 8 glands on the blade near the leaf stalk. You can just see some gland like thing also, and generally we have a simple tendrils. Okay, not much thing. And here you can see this is a female flower. So this is also a dioecious crop. Okay, it's also a dioecious crop where male and female flowers are grown on separate plants, and you can see they are said large white flowers. It's not as large as the muskmelon flowers or bottle gourd flower or pumpkin flower, but it is a like a medium flower only, and star shaped flower. You can see beautiful star shaped flower. It's a beautiful star. And you can see the male flower here. You can both are female flowers only. Here you can see the stigma is 3-lobed, and here the stigma is 4-lobed. It's just a variant. Okay, there are different species, and it is one of the variant that where you can see this 3 stigmatic lobes, and here you can see 4 stigmatic lobes. That's the only thing. And here you can see the male flower where you don't have any stigma. This is just an anther, the design they call anther. Okay, this is just the anther, and here you can see the ripe fruit and the normal fruit, and this is a seed. Generally, it is a not seed propagated. That's why you might feel somewhat unsimilar to see this particular seed. Okay, and yeah, and next is I told you, it is smothering like a weed in my village and all. It's like wherever you see, this is like completely growing. Wherever barren land is there, it will completely smother. And this is not an edible one, by the way. Okay, next is many, ivy gourd extracts are made because it controls sugar. Definitely, it will control sugar. It does not have anything in it. If you eat watermelon, muskmelon, it has TSS. It will definitely increase your sugar content. This fruit is so tasteless. This vegetable is, it has nothing that it will definitely control your blood sugar levels. And because water and fiber, because it is made of something, so it will definitely have little amount of fiber, so it will definitely control your constipation. It will cause bowel movement. It will improve the digestion because only water and little amount of fiber, because it's made up of some stuff, so it is there. So dietary supplements are also made with this. And Coccinia grandis, they can make with pickles and all they are making. And nextly, find to control this drug addiction, taking raw ivy gourd 2 pieces daily can help you away from drug addiction. So it is said like you can eat, little astringency will be there if you eat also. I don't know if you put raw coccinia into your mouth or not. So it will be like, it is said like eating 2 ivy gourds per day will help you control the drug addiction as well. And so the different pickles and all that are prepared from this. And uses and all is like immature fruits are bitter due to the presence of the cucurbitacin B. I told you, if you have put the coccinia in your mouth, this astringent out, some stickiness or some astringency you can feel in the mouth. So it has some cucurbitacins B in it. And generally, in diabetes it is used. And that's it. Diabetes is there and bronchitis is there. So normal uses only that you can read by yourself, not nothing much. And coming to the varieties, Arka Neelanchal Khuni. Kunki, Arka Neelanchal Kunki. So it has and nextly I will tell you very important point. What happens is, in case of coccinia, if you go for commercial cultivation, you will not see male plants. In pointed gourd, you will have to sow some 10% or at least 2%, according to the latest studies. You have to sow for male plants because it is a dioecious crop. Because it has some male, it is a dioecious crop. That is, male and female flowers are different plants. So only females, if you plant, you cannot get the yield because there is no pollination. But in case of ivy gourd, if you are growing, then generally they will not grow males. Why, you tell me? Because vegetative parthenocarpy is observed in case of these coccinia. That is why there is no need of male. If you don't put male also, it will give yield. Okay, vegetative parthenocarpy, very, 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 very important. 10 stars you can put for this. We generally, while reading, we read it like we don't read it properly. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ऐसे ही चले जाता है पढ़ने के टाइम. So it has vegetative parthenocarpy. So if you want to stimulate this stigma, generally at times they will put male plants, but if you don't put male plants also, it can give the yield because of the presence of vegetative parthenocarpy nature. Okay, and nextly Arka Neelanchal Sabuja. So it's a high
just like cucumber को जैसे हम लोग जब पॉली हाउस में ग्रो करते हैं, ऑल फीमेल रखने से ही पार्थेनोकार्पी होता है.
No, that's completely different.
अच्छा.
That is gynoeciousness. Gynoecious linked with parthenocarpy gene.
अच्छा.
Here it is not gynoecious, it's a dioecious plant having vegetative parthenocarpy.
Okay.
It is different. In parthenocarpy, you have different types: stimulative parthenocarpy, vegetative parthenocarpy. So what is stimulative parthenocarpy means? Some pollen has to touch its stigma. It has to get stimulated. Means without pollen, though it is parthenocarpic, it has to get some stimulation from the external pollen. Ki agar pollen aake, if it is just touches my stigma also, that is enough. I will not use the pollen, but I will try to set fruit. So I want a stimulation. That is stimulative parthenocarpy. In vegetative parthenocarpy, you don't need stimulation also. This is vegetative
Yes, ma'am.
parthenocarpy, that is in dioecious plant, whereas in case of cucumber, that in gynoecious plants, the gynoecious gene is linked with the parthenocarpic gene. So you get seedless and only female fruits developed there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And parthenocarpy is again different from seedlessness. You don't call parthenocarpic watermelon, you call it seedless watermelon. So if different terms have been used means there is some purpose, there is some difference in the terms. Okay, you try to understand them.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mm. And high yielding coccinia variety with long fruits has been developed by KAU, that is Kerala Agriculture University. It has developed one high yielding coccinia variety called as Sulabha. So this Sulabha is an important variety. You might have you might have seen this variety in terms of in your this book, Gloucester's book also you can see this Sulabha. So it is a clonal selection from the local variety Kolam. So from Kolam this Sulabha has been developed. This has been developed by KAU. Okay. And nextly, soil climate generally, because it's a cucurbitaceous crop. What is the, and nextly, it is a perennial cucurbitaceous crop. So definitely all those characters will be very much similar to that of the already studied crop, that is pointed gourd. Okay. Very similar to that, it will be there. Okay. And coming to the propagation, so seeds, we generally, what happens, I told you that it is a very weed that is grown here and there. Why? How it is grown? Because whatever seeds from the broken seeds are carried out by this, because it has red color fruits. No, they are much attracted by the crows and other birds and all. So what happens? They will just exhibit the they will they will eat, and they will be with the help of their shit, or by while eating only carrying the fruit from one place to another. So like that also what happens, these seeds are getting dispersed. Okay. And from that also, and nextly these seeds do not exhibit any dormancy, and there also you can find this as a weed smothering, that is in some species. Okay, ma'am, you said it does not have seed, it has parthenocarpy, that is species are different, that is why those species we don't eat, the weed kind of species. Okay. And nextly this Coccinia grandis, that is it flowers from August to September, and it is, the plant is a non, is not self fertile. It is not self fertile, definitely it is not self fertile, because it's a dioecious crop, first point. And nextly it also has this purpose of vegetative parthenocarpy present in it. And nextly readily strikes. Okay. And nextly not only Coccinia grandis, but also our pointed gourd. So they will strike roots wherever the stem, wherever the trailing vine touches the ground, they will strike roots. So even here also you can go over the cuttings with the those developed from the suckers. Okay, the root suckers. And coming to the seeds and sowing, what happens? You can cultivate this so with the seeds and the cuttings both. Here also you can see that 5 to 10%, 5 to 10% of the male vines. So mostly you try to see the options in your exam. Be very careful. Okay, in Ivy Guard, in KV Peter also, sorry, in Pointed Guard, in KV Peter also 2% is given. In another book also less than 5% is given. So you have to be very careful in choosing the options, because if you read number of books and number of authors giving you different values, you again get confused. So be very careful. And what are the options given? If it is given less than 10% options, then your answer should be different. If it is given some 10 and different values, then your answer is 10%. So be very choosy when depending on the options. Be very carefully reading. Okay.
Here we don't need any male plant now.
No, vegetative parthenocarpy is present. That is why if you generally go to the farmer's field, you will not find male plants. But theoretically, generally it is said like, because it's a dioecious crop, you will have to go for 10% male plants. But if you go to farmer's field, in my UG they took us to a farmer's field where he was not growing any male plants. He was barely growing 1% of the male plants, and he was he was telling. So it depends actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to enhance the fruit set, also just to stimulate also, some people will grow the plants, but I don't know where this coccinia is commercially grown. In my state it is grown, but I don't like this vegetable. And I don't know, you people in your state it is available, you eat coccinia?
No, ma'am.
Srishti, you in place, your place it is available. Huh?
Only in pickle purpose, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't like this vegetable. It is not at all tasty. It's not good. Same training and pruning, not much important. It is like you might have seen this, the same unnecessary twigs and all you have to remove because it's a perennial plant. In winters, it will go to what do you call it? Is it will go to dormancy, and nextly it is the central stem is there. You have to get more axillary branches also, so you can remove the primary branch to encourage the secondary shoots. And all kind of stuff not so important. You can see how it has been put with the help of staking and all. This kind of cultivation, very acres together, meters together, they will just put sticks to sticks and they will make this big panda like thing and they will grow. This man is little tall, I think, but up to my height, like I can stand in between this, that much tall it will be there. Mm. And yeah, the same part has been given. You have to go for ratooning, that is after the commercial, because this much of area he has grown after 4 years or 5 years, when the yield is over, will he remove all those acres together? No, he will just remove all the aerial parts. He will cut the stem up to this here, and he will give good nutrition. Then it will again start new flesh and it will start creeping and all fruits will be formed. Okay. And next here you can see it is a dioecious as well as shows parthenocarpy. And nextly, manures and fertilizers, same, no specific thing. Harvesting approximately 8 to 10 kg fruits are harvested per vine, means per plant you can harvest 8 to 10 kg and about 10 to 12 tons. So it depends upon the textbooks also. Standardly, you follow Vishnu Swarup textbook for the yield and the seed rate. Okay, yield and seed rate, definitely you follow Vishnu Swarup textbook or any textbook from ICAR. You have to follow a random some paper in some research article, this much yield is there, so I will write that yield. No, you follow a standard textbook yield only. Okay. And this is the marketing, storage, who is storing. Okay. Coming to the pests and the diseases, the red pumpkin beetle will come. You can see at the very initial state of the fruit itself, it is damaging. Okay. Red pumpkin beetle and thrips, mites, the sucking pests, aphids, fruit fly, this is a pointed guard, and here you can see the fruit fly. This affected this particular part. Okay. And for fruit fly, you can go for the sex traps. Infestation can be controlled with the help of sex attractants. So you tell me, pheromone traps. No, what is a pheromone trap? Pheromone trap is a sex trap. Means who will be trapped by whom? You tell me that. Male will be trapped or female will be trapped in a sex attractant or a pheromone trap. Who is
Female
trapped?
will be trapped.
No, male will be trapped in a pheromone trap. Because if no male is there, what female will do? So male will be trapped in a pheromone traps, not female. Generally, we will think females will be trapped because females will lay eggs, but the eggs itself are formed with the help of male. No, so the males are trapped. Okay, this question they asked me, which one is used for trapping? Males are trapped or females are trapped in my rave? They asked me. Then I told wrong answer. That's why I remember. So nextly, management of major diseases, that is downy mildew. This is the most important disease that comes in case of cucurbits, no doubt. And nextly, and under humid conditions, under high rainfall conditions, you will see this downy mildew, this checks like thing. And underneath, see how means leaf will be normal. Some in the check like areas, you will see this browning, and underneath complete yellowing of the leaf you can observe. Okay. And powdery mildew is the next. And you will not use here sulfur based things. See, this is a very important bit. No, sulfur-based fungicides are not used in case of cucurbits because it causes toxicity. So you will be using for carathane or calixin. So here you can see the differences between powdery mildew, because powdery mildew also yellowing of the leaf is there, but here you can see a powdery surface, whereas in downy mildew you see brown netted surface, which is followed by a yellow shallow, but you will not see this powdery growth. Only powdery mildew you see this powdery growth. So coming to the viral diseases, you have cucumber mosaic virus, watermelon mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic virus, and other mosaic viruses, mostly viral diseases. So how a mosaic disease, generally mosaic is transmitted with the help of aphids. They are the most important vectors, and some of the diseases can also be transmitted by mechanical transmission, that is with the help of the with the help of what you call, with the help of the spade or the planting material, or somewhere it is also can be seen. And very common mosaic means, mosaic appearance means so half color will be green, half color will be changed. That is called mosaic pattern. We can call in a dress also, you can say, hey, this dress is in mosaic pattern. Mosaic means, having a different color shade, that is yellow, and how it becomes half thoda thoda yellow, thoda thoda green, that is mosaic pattern. Okay. And nextly, see, thoda thoda yellow, thoda thoda green, and all these are viral disease symptoms. Okay. And young flesh, you can see very nicely the virus. Definitely, a whole plant is fine, but the young flesh is becoming like this means it is definitely the viral diseases. Okay, if it is a sucking pest, at least, okay, young flesh is so soft, and so it has sucked, you can think, but at least it has this flesh. This is also flesh. No, they should attack this also. If it is a thrips, mites, any sucking pest, if it will almost, you can see equal damage between the younger part and the old part. But in case of viruses, because it is systemic in nature, means after it is infected, then it starts spreading. So the young flesh will be mostly, you can see the effect of the viruses. Okay. And here alternaria blight, anthracnose, and Phytophthora blight have been given in pictures. You can just see this anywhere. So here with this I complete coccinia also. So now I will ask questions, or you have any doubts for me? My questions or your questions? Nobody joined today's class. I wanted to give exam from 5 to 6 like that, but I will not give exam also. Okay, I'll ask you questions. Any? Okay, Srishti.
Yes, ma'am.
Srishti will get. Srishti, you tell me. Okay, what all you learnt about pointed guard? You tell me, Srishti. In general, what you learnt?
Yes, ma'am.
You might have made running notes or and all, anything you made, no? Some important points you just list out for pointed guard for me. See, but what happens, you might think that it is a
Ma'am?
recorded class. Yeah, beta.
My audible, ma'am.
Yeah, little breakage is there. So just it's a, it is a, what do you call, this is a, recorded class. I can listen to it afterwards. But when I'll be telling, when you will be running notes, you will be writing, no, the efficiency, the concentration is more. That's why you have to write when I'm telling itself. You will try to grasp each and every word with more concentration in a hurry to write. So that is very important actually. Okay. Yes, if you have written any points, can you brief with them for us, Srishti?
Yes, ma'am. Like other names like green potato, it is called, ma'am. It is highly suited for riverbed cultivation, ma'am. But main suited crop is muskmelon, ma'am. So seeds is not preferred, ma'am, because we can't determine the sex form, ma'am. So it is also a dioecious plant, and wine cuttings is a propagative material. Flower color is white in color, ma'am. The four cucurbits are actually white flower in color, ma'am. That is snake, ridge gourd, ivy gourd, and bottle gourd, ma'am. And it is 9:1 is the ratio, ma'am. Now it is 12:1. And for it is main properties like it is used for enlargement of liver and spleen, and diabetes mellitus purpose. And through Bauer system, we can go for 8,000 cuttings per hectare, ma'am. Then one seedless variety is IAVR VG105, ma'am, and CHPG 15. It is a powdery mildew and fusarium wilt resistant variety, ma'am. And male flowers will have a heterogamy condition is present, ma'am.
Very good. Any other points you want to tell, or that's it?
That's all, ma'am. And
Okay,
for
very good.
Diara cultivation, October to November month is very suited
Yes,
season, ma'am.
yes. Very good, ma'am. Very good, super. Anupam, you brief me about the ivy gourd.
Ma'am, in ivy gourd, the scientific name is Coccinia grandis, and it is also called baby watermelon. And it is very fast growing, ma'am, and dense growing, and it's perennial in nature. And it's dense growing and compared to other cucurbits, ma'am. And its leaf characteristics is upper surface is hairless and lower surface is hairy. And the flower is star-shaped flower, ma'am. And in female flower, 3 stigmatic lobe and 4 stigmatic lobe also seen, ma'am. And it's dioecious in nature and perennial in nature. It also helps to control blood sugar, ma'am. And astringency is also there, ma'am, in fruit. And there are varieties like Arka Nilachan, Kunkhi, ऐसा कुछ था. And vegetative parthenocarpy is also seen, ma'am. And the clonal selection से variety निकला है Sulaba variety, ma'am, Kerala Agriculture University से. And ma'am, if we recommend it in the field, ma'am, 5 to 10% male plant is.
Anupam, not only one variety from clonal propagation. Generally, clonal propagation is the only breeding method that is used in case of these perennial crops.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Not only this Sulabha is also developed with the help of clonal propagation, but it is the only major method of breeding that is used, clonal propagation only. Other methods are not used because it's highly heterozygous. No, what happens in highly heterozygous crops, it is very difficult because the genes are highly diverse. So if you cross them also, first you have to know which gene is what, and knowing that is also difficult because it's a highly heterozygous nature, and you cannot self it also. If you find it's a good crop, or if you think it is a good plant also, you cannot self it because it is highly heterozygous. While selfing, lot of lethal effect can be observed. So that's why selfing also cannot be done. So clonal propagation is the most important or the only method widely used. Okay, not only Sulabha, but others are also actually clonal propagated varieties only. Okay, continue.
Yes, ma'am. In field, ma'am, 5 to 10% male plants should be planted, ma'am. And then pest disease are there, ma'am. Pest like red pumpkin beetle, fruit fly, and aphid, etc. there. And in case of viral disease are there, mosaic disease and downy mildew, powdery mildew. And we should not use sulfur-based fungicide because it causes, ma'am, toxicity to cucurbits, ma'am.
Okay, very good, super. So, okay, with this, I'll end today's class, and we'll meet. I'll inform about the next class soon. Okay, okay. Thank you. Any other doubts you can ask me, or I'll end the class.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then I'll end the class. Thank you, Srishti. Thank you, Anupam. Okay.